Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm bringing you guys a video talking about Alibaba and the fact that they have their own Next.js without vendor locking. So this project is called Alibaba's Ice.js framework. It's an open source progressive framework built for React, um, or Alibaba, or they also have another one too that is called Midway. Now, this is a Node.js serverless project. Now, these serve as alternatives to Next.js without the vendor locking, because as you know, with Next.js, the only way you can pretty much push a Next.js app to production is via Vercel. So let's talk more about Ice.js, the first one. So this is a React app framework. Now, just like Next.js, it does handle file system routing, and it does switch between the server side rendering and static site generation. Um, but it does operate on a completely modular plugin system. Um, so it's you're not bound to, things like Vercel. And then we have Midway. So this is more on the back end. This is a Node and TypeScript framework that is developed to handle traditional web backends alongside serverless functions. This is a major architecture solution to combat vendor lock-in because you can deploy your own application to any major cloud vendor or a local VPS with zero code changes. So this is very important. I do want to get more into how Ice.js handles file system routing and things like that. But before we do that, I wanted to take you guys through my full conversation here. So I wanted to get a little more deeper on these. So behind the scenes is Alibaba's premier AI model for software development and automated engineering tasks, and that's Quinn 3.7 Max. So, so Ice and Midway are the open source web frameworks that solve the physical vendor lock-in architecture problems, right? Quinn 3.7 Max acts as the backend AI driver. So this is going to excel at front-end prototyping, multi-file software engineering, and then platform portability. Um, let's see. And then after that, I asked it more about the tiny model that Alibaba released called Quinn 3.5 Small. It has a 9 billion parameter, um, so it can take in a lot of context. Let's see. So it pretty much rivals open source's GPT OSS 120 billion parameter model. So this model is optimized with highly dense smart architecture because you don't need heavy data center GPU, so it can actually run on your CPU. You can fit a quantized version of Quinn 3.5 onto standard commodity laptops like an older M1 MacBook Air or mid-range Windows laptop with only a few gigs of RAM and running completely locally. Um, it even says developers have gotten the smallest versions in this family running directly inside client-side web browsers for tasks like real-time video analysis. And then after that, I was asking if I can run it on an old laptop with about 4 gigabytes of RAM. So it said yes, but with an important catch. So you cannot run the massive 9 billion version, but on 4 gigabytes of RAM, but you can run the smaller variants like Quinn 3.5, 0.8, or 1.5. Those run smoothly. Now, when you want to run AI models on only 4 gigs of RAM, you have to make sure you optimize tightly. Um, so the reality is the 9 billion model parameter model is going to be too large. It's going to take up roughly 5.5 gigs to 7 gigs of RAM just to load it. If you try to force it onto a 4 gig system, the laptop will crash or run to a complete halt. Now, the sweet spot of 0.8 billion to 1.5 billion, Alibaba specifically released micro variants like these models. They only require about 1.5 gigs to 3 gigs of RAM, and they will fit completely in your memory, leaving room for your operating system to function. Now, because you might be loading this on an older laptop, the AI is going to use your CPU rather than your GPU, like we mentioned above. It will generate text at roughly 5 to 15 words per second, which is fast as fuck. I don't know why people think that that's like so much slower. People are just so used to AI and how it is when you're using ChatGPT. 5 to 15 words per second is fast as fuck. So it won't be instant, but it still will be highly usable for text editing, basic programming help, and summarizing documents. I think it's useful for more things than that. You just have to get in there and start using it. So here's a step-by-step guide on how to start doing this. And I'll make a follow-up video showing you guys how to download this on the computer and actually start using it. So step number one is going to be download and install the free setup client from the Olama official website. Number two, you're going to open your laptop's terminal or command prompt PowerShell windows, and you're going to type in the following command to download and run the highly optimized 1.5 billion parameter model, and then press enter. So you're going to go ahead and to make sure you first download and install Olama. Now, once you open your terminal, you're going to type in this command, Olama run, and then you're going to type in the model name. Now, if you want to use a ultra lightweight version or the 0.8 billion parameter model, you can just switch the model name right here. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any issues with doing that, if you guys are trying this on your computers and maybe you run into problems, I do have a Discord, so make sure you guys drop a comment below so I can get you guys in the Discord so you guys can have a community that is also doing these same types of things, building, experimenting with AI, experimenting with different tools, trying to become software engineers, etc. Make sure you guys check out the Discord. There's lots of resources in there, and there's people in there who can help you if you have questions with things that you're working on. And besides that, I'll go ahead and wrap up the video. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today and checking out the video. If you, like I said, if you guys have questions, leave a comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Follow Gene Bites on all platforms.